the Baroque period is a moment that we have the Counter-Reformation, right? The Counter-Reformation, in essence, is against rationality, is against science, right? So the Council of Trento, which is what established the council that lasted 40 years, right? 40, 50 years, established guideline for everything, the Catholic Church, right? For scientists, for artists, for writers, for priests, for everybody was supposed to behave in a certain way. One thing that the Counter-Reformation was trying to originate, to stop, was the rational approach to everything. Just to give you an idea, people, when they started reading the translated Bible, they started interpreting the Bible, right? Interpretation is critical thinking, in a sense. So the church was, and then as you have critical thinking, it comes from different sources that are not controlled by the central authority, then you have different interpretation. Therefore, a loss of control by part of the central power, right? So they said, no, you don't do that anymore. Surprise, surprise, right? So, and then, so the church said, you don't use rationality. You have to, when you transmit concept, you had to, so the artists, for example, were given a task to inspire or propagate this idea of self-sacrifice. And as a highest example, they use the martyr saints. So the martyr saints were sacrificing themselves for religion, right? So they were saying, yeah, it's good to sacrifice yourself for this higher goal, stay higher, because it transcends the individual, and it's for the glory of God. And so the painters were supposed to paint all this painting where that sacrifice was glorified. So you have in this period a lot of painting of martyrdom, where as soon as the martyr saints that are depicted in the various scenes are killed or about to be killed, you have above them an angel that is giving them a pardon of martyrdom. So the pardon of martyrdom means that as soon as you get that, you go up straight to heaven, right? So you're going to see lots of these scenes in the Baroque period, but the light also, in my opinion, right, is probably, so the light doesn't follow a line, right? The light and shadow don't follow a line. So when you're in a figure in a space, right, the light comes from a direction, the other part is going to be flooded in shadow, and whole area that normally would draw in you the limit with the line are going to be commonly drowned in this shadow, right? So again, in my opinion, the light is a better way of representing divinity, because it's imponderable. You, at least at that time, they didn't know the physics of light, right? So the light is not measurable the same way the line measures the body. Right? But suddenly you have these bodies flooded in light and shadow, and this is Caravaggio that eventually comes up with this technique that is, actually before Caravaggio was also other painters, Carracci and other proto-Baroque painters, right? They were using strong contrast between light and shadow. And the idea is that now your body is not so measurable anymore, because the light hides part of it, the shadow hides part of it. So the body is permeable, or the body is vulnerable. The body is not safely self-contained. It's open. And that creates what has been described by critics. That's what Caravaggio uses to create his painting that have been described as nocturnal, right? Nocturnal painting is something that evokes nightmarish scenarios of anguish where you lose rationality, right? And you're completely at the mercy of your fears. So that light, that shadow that invades your body, is a way of saying you're vulnerable to life, you're vulnerable to emotion, you're vulnerable to doubt, you're vulnerable to this thing. And that would be the open form. Open form means that you are vulnerable, right? Makes sense? So, but as you can see, that kind of painting introduces something that is the opposite of rationality, is psychology, a psychological aspect of the figure, animated now by tension, emotion, doubts, fears, right? So that's a big revolution that happened in 1600. Pretty much, this is clearly prompted by the Counter-Reformation, right? Whether the artists were not necessarily pious, they were saying, "Ooh, opportunity," right? Because this strong contrast creates very powerful painting. I don't think they were caring much about the doctrine. That was more for the church to worry about, right? In fact, in some cases, artists got in trouble because they were too daring, right? In challenging this, the border of the figure and evoking this dramatic psychological aspect, right? So why is that important? Because the father of the church that were at the Council of Trento, they explicitly say you have to lever on people's emotions when you transmit the message. And the people's emotions are irrational, right? So if somebody tells you with propaganda, right? Because during this period, the Jesuits started propaganda fide, propagation of the faith, right? It is still in Rome. You see the Church of the Jesuits, the propaganda fide. So propaganda comes from that, right? In the modern term, propagation, right? It's not negative. It's a way of propagate, right? Advertise, spread the word, right? So we say you're going to have much better results if you propagate the faith using emotions and not rationality. Makes sense? So, I mean, that's why young people at 18, they sign up for the army and then they go get their heads blown off. Makes sense? Because they have this great idea, right? Of, I mean, there's a big difference with somebody who joined the military because believes in a certain idea and somebody who is playing video games and thinking, yeah, let's do it for real now, right? And think they're gonna go and be heroes, right? But that's a young age, right? So the Jesuit said you have to lever on that emotional aspect of human nature, not rationality. And I think also that's why we had today these banning of Plato's and Socrates books in school, right? In some school, not over, but. So anyway, that was a long answer, but I thought I wanted to contextualize it.